Hey guys, welcome back to We Met at Acme. I'm so excited to be here with Jordyn Hakes, the host of the Horny Housewife podcast. Hey Jordyn.
Hello, Lindsey. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I
Yeah.
cannot wait to have this conversation. I just want to let any parents of mine know that they could stop listening right about now, and choose another episode. So, yeah. Jordyn, what is your favorite romantic gesture?
You know what? I feel like kissing is so underrated because
Mm.
as I'm married, and so I'm not married forever. I've been with my husband for 8 years, almost 9 years, but long enough to where, you have to be intentional in your relationship for sure. For sure, for sure. And I feel like kissing is one of those things. Is that a gesture? I don't even know. But that's
Sure.
one of those things that I think maybe sometimes men, maybe I'm generalizing, need a little push of like, don't forget that I like all the other stuff too. And I feel like kissing can get sidelined, put in the back seat. And I also like men who plan because maybe it doesn't come naturally for all of them. But I really like to see that he can, get his mind out of work and kid boss mode and like be thoughtful. That's my favorite.
I love both of those like so much. I think my husband is a little challenged when it comes to planning, but that's
Hmm.
fine because he was good when he needed to
Hmm.
be, which is when he was pursuing me and pretending to be a planner because he knew that I needed a plan. Kissing, I'm so glad you brought that up because I just recently talked about this on a podcast with Shan Boudram, who's amazing. We were talking about how important making out is after you're married, and people forget, like even in relationships, even in long-term relationships where I didn't marry them, um the kissing like did kind of stop towards the end, and that was obviously indicative of the lack of success in that relationship. But with my husband, we make out all the time, and I say like a make out a day keeps the divorce lawyer away.
Yes. My parents were in like a little marriage camp thing at one point, and my mom was like, we were challenged to make out for 10 minutes a day. And they're like, we really see the impact that it had on our marriage. And it's little things like that. I wonder why kissing goes to the sideline. Is it maybe because of comfortability and routine? I think that routine and predictability can be so unsexy sometimes.
I agree. I think also like there's a bajillion reasons. Like maybe one partner's a smoker and that's kind of gross. Maybe like whatever reason it is, it's an excuse in my mind. Like kiss your partner. Kiss your partner.
And then if you're stagnant, to me, that's just going backwards. Like if you're just
Hmm.
complacent, you're not kind of just staying there, you're actually going backwards. So you have to be intentional. That's my big pusher to couples is you're not going to always feel like it. And I feel like maybe this is polarizing, but we live in a time now where a lot of people say, and I don't think what I'm saying now applies to everything. But
Hmm.
when you choose your person, it's not always going to feel like it's serving you. If something is destructive, abusive, betrayal, like I understand there are reasons to say, I'm not going to do this anymore because it's truly not serving you. But when you're not vibing, you're on different pages, you're in a season that's not comfortable, I personally believe you're supposed to ride through and choose them. And I feel like I'm rewarded by the universe for doing that.
100% agreed. And I love that. And that's just coming from someone who has been married longer than me. It's good to hear. And backing up a little bit for people who don't know you, Jordyn, how old are you and where are you from? And then tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about your relationship status, as you mentioned before.
I'm 33. I turned 34 this month. I'm disgusted. And I was born in Dallas. I grew up in Houston, Texas. Now I live in the Pacific Northwest. So I came to Portland for a year thinking it was just going to be a year for fun because I went to Nashville the previous year and I met my husband 3 days later. So I'm a stepmom. So we're kind of like, I'm here while we're raising our children. I have a stepson who is going to be 14, and we have a son who is 6. I'm a boy mom. I'm surrounded by testosterone. I have a father, a brother. My mom passed away after I turned 30. And so it's just like testosterone all around me. And
So
so the
much.
podcast is how I became sane again. I feel like I
Hmm.
needed something else because I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, a housewife. Because my mom, I was like, you're a housewife. You can do whatever you want when you want. It's so cool. And she's like, find yourself, like, do something, you'll be bored. And I'm like, no, I won't be bored. And I got bored. And I'm like, my identity is wrapped up in wife, mother. I feel like I'm serving, serving, serving. And I needed something for myself. And I didn't want to be like every other woman who gets her real estate license when she's having a crisis. No offense to anyone that's got their real estate license whatsoever. But I was like, I need something for me. So I started the Horny Housewife, and it's been lovely creating a space to like shit talk about the ebbs and flows and the seasons and then make something out of it. Like, I don't want to have mediocre sex the rest of my life.
Yeah, I love
So,
that. And it's funny, I was just reading a book called, what was it called? Bad Summer People. And it's like this gossipy book.
okay.
And there's a line in it that's like, basically reiterating what you said about the real estate. It's like, every woman's either getting their real estate license or becoming a life coach. And
Yeah,
it's so true.
it's so
And
true.
I think it's awesome that you talk about, these subjects that, a lot of housewives would not be comfortable talking about. And I'm so excited to kind of dive in to some of those with you.
For
Um,
sure.
let's start kind of talking about sex in marriage and, in long-term relationships. Did you, when you met your now husband, did you feel like you were on the same page with your sex drive?
Actually, no. And that
Hmm.
had never happened to me before. And it was a whole mind fuck. So, in a lot of my relationships, I think I was with sex addicts. I mean, people that, maybe they were just piece of shit men, but men who were insatiable, needed to get off every day. And I just felt like, until the first time I got cheated on was when I'm like, it rocks you when you love a man and you find out that they were a completely different way behind your back. And I think that fucked me up in the head. And I was like, oh, okay, so more sex, keep the man. Like, I had this whole, like, my mother was, she told me, like, if you don't satisfy your man, somebody else will. And
Hmm.
she was taking me to the lingerie store probably too young while she tried on her little outfits for my dad, which I don't know if that was cool of her, but at the time I was horrified. But
Right.
then when I grew up, I was like, wow, my parents were fucking, like, they really were into each other. So I guess that's not bad. But I think that credits to why I'm so open or able to talk about it, because she was like that. They were like that. Still very religious, but very much so like, we're married, like, let's have the best sex ever. And I think that my own relationship experience, I thought all men were the same. And then when I met my husband, he wanted to have sex, I guess, enough, a lot. You fuck a lot in the beginning, right? Can I say
Yeah, of course.
fuck? Okay.
It would
Okay,
be
you
a
fuck
little
a lot.
late if not.
I think I've already said it. It was like any normal couple in the beginning where you're all into each other. But I was like, every time I was coming over, I thought we were supposed to have sex. And I think most women would say, like, yeah, that sounds pretty normal. But I didn't know. And this is getting like vulnerable and sharing his business. But he was on medicine that really affected his drive. And so that was kind of
Mm.
something we had to navigate. And he's like 6 years older than me. And so he's about to be 40. And he recently got on testosterone, like a couple years ago, actually, because he had such a really low testosterone level. And it was all the symptoms of low testosterone, not just low libido. And we were always having sex at least once a week because I would spiral and think, like, I feel so rejected, so unwanted, stop feeling sexy, all these lies I would tell myself because sex equaled validation for me. For, I think it does a little bit. I'm in therapy. I talk about it. But it took a while to navigate understanding that rejection and communicating that to him of how I felt, and him being like, my body's not broken. Like, I feel like it's broken. I want you. I love you. I don't know why I feel like this. But then him getting on testosterone rocked his whole world. And I know it's not for everybody, but it's for him, and it changed his life. So if anyone's out there and they have all those symptoms, it's so worth checking out. It could change your whole life and relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's just a common misconception in general about men, like, with like your exes in those situations of them being insatiable. Like, I think we've all experienced that, right? I mean, it doesn't always last past like the first 6 months necessarily, but we've all experienced that. So when we experience not that, we're like, what's wrong with us? We internalize it, as you said. And I think also, and like I've talked about this before, like it's less about like for me, it's like I don't really know how to say it, but it's like I feel like sometimes I don't know if I have a really high sex drive or if I just like need the validation, as you mentioned. Like, and the reason I'm like always down with my husband is because I need to know that like he's always down and that he always wants to fuck me. And I also grew up with those messages that were like, if you're not giving it to your man, he's getting it from somewhere else. Like if he's not getting it from you, he's getting it from someone else. And like even today, still in media, we hear that all the time. Like,
yeah,
what was I watching?
Expected, almost expected. It's fucked up. It's fucked up.
It's fucked up. I was watching something recently. I kind of forgot what it was, but it was some like, I think, reality show. And the girl said, oh no, it was a housewives episode.
I was just about to say, is it
Real Housewives? Yes. And I actually know one of the housewives, Erin, and she's so sweet. And I think it was a scene with like her and her husband. And she was like, what would you do if like I didn't fuck you for a year? And he was like, I would fuck someone else. And at first I was like, how dare he say that? That's like disgusting. And I still am like, yeah, no, he shouldn't have said that.
Lie.
But like that is what's ingrained
it's the truth
in us. Yeah. And if it were reversed, like if your man didn't fuck you for a year, what would you do?
You want me to be honest with you? I mean, I probably would divorce him. I mean, I would be like, what's going on? I would turn inward for surezies, but I think there would be a breaking point for me, I'm a high drive woman. Like I want to have sex. I do. I feel like it actually tames me.
No, it does. And
what would you do?
Well, I would communicate to him, like,
okay,
I need some sort of
have to.
So can I sleep with someone?
Yeah.
Like,
can we open it?
I would ask him first. Like, I'd be like, the last thing I want is to go fuck someone else behind your back. Can I do it? Asking you permission? Because this is really tough. I mean, obviously it depends like why, if God forbid he was really sick and for some reason couldn't that way. Like
many factors.
There's boundaries. And actually right now I'm experiencing something and I'm curious what you think. Like my husband just had back surgery. And so sex is really hard and I'm pregnant. And so there's only like so many positions that I can do. And like,
are you extra horny pregnant, by the way?
I am and I'm not. Like it varies, it goes up and down. It's less that like I'm really horny and more that like when I do start to like want it, I need it then, that moment. Okay. Like, and the orgasms I feel are better. But like,
cool.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was saying, I think that's normal. I think that's because it's easier to do it by yourself, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always easier to do it by yourself. And we're going to get into solo pleasure also. But it's been hard because of the back surgery. Like the only position that works for him is doggy because he has to stand up.
Okay, so has he been like in bedridden? Is he able to?
Basically now he can move a little bit, but sitting down is like not a thing. So
you're just gonna have to navigate this season. Yeah. You're just gonna have to ride it through. I mean, life happens, right? And you're just gonna have to figure it out. And he's gonna have to figure out how to be generous. Y'all have to get creative with toys, fingers, mouths, divide, I don't know, mutual masturbation, you could get creative. And
Oh,
it's not
totally.
like it has to stay that way. It could be something that gets you through the time. A
Yeah, I
little.
agree. And I think it's also important to like lean into like fantasies at times like
Mhm.
this, where things are either stale or like you're not getting a lot of what you want. And I'm curious, do you have a fantasy or like a role play, that you play out with your husband?
Okay. So I don't like get dressed up and play certain characters. I think what we like to do, because I haven't been married a million years. I feel like I'm not trying to do everything right now. He may get really bored of me in 10 years and then I got to get extra creative or something. But I like to incorporate dirty talk because it's just a fun way to also gauge how hot it is to your partner. And if you have a fantasy, like most people have like one, I think it's like 7 categories of fantasies. You can Google them. I could probably name them, but they're in 3 categories. One that you completely keep to yourself, something that is in your mind only. You have no intention of sharing it. And I feel like if that's shame induced, I think you could do work around it, but you're allowed to keep
Mm,
whatever you want to yourself. And then there's the kind you want to incorporate in the bedroom to make it steamy and hotter. Doesn't mean you want to do it in real life. And then there's fantasies that like you want to do, like you want to, I mean, what's novel for someone might not be for the other person. So what's really freaky to you might not be freaky to me, or vice versa. But maybe someone wants to join the Mile High Club and they're going to make that happen. And then maybe for me, I love, and this sounds like, don't anyone judge me, but who cares? I love thinking about my husband with another woman, but I would never, never be down for it in real life. And I think a lot of women share this fantasy with me and just don't like to admit
it's like you're reading my mind. It's crazy. That is
it.
a huge fantasy of mine, but I have
Yes.
to tell you,
Okay.
I wouldn't be
Cross
opposed
it
to
off.
it in real life. No, I would watch it for sure, happily. I wouldn't
But
draw the
would there
line at
be
reality.
like okay, maybe I couldn't do it right now, but it doesn't mean later. But I know if I did it later, it could not be close to home. It could not be it would
Oh,
have
of
to
course
be
not.
we're
Yeah.
traveling. It's got to be something that's more of like something that we're enjoying together. I just don't, I couldn't him be like, your friend's hot, let's all do it. Like I could
Oh no,
never do
never, never,
something
never,
like
never,
that.
never. No, no, no. The rules
Yes.
and guidelines would be strong
Yeah.
around that.
Hard.
That is definitely a fantasy of mine. It's funny that you mentioned those 3 categories because I don't have, and I'm not just saying this because we're recording a podcast. I don't have any fantasies that I wouldn't admit. Um,
It's a good
like
sign though
I
that you feel
truly,
safe.
yeah, no, that's true. And I truly, and I also just am too much of an open book, which I'm sure my listeners are like, yes, that's
We
true.
know.
But my like main fantasy, and tell me if this turns you on too,
Okay.
is imagining that my husband is married to another woman and like I am like the other girl.
You're the other one. I've never thought about that. Is that weird of me? I always
No.
think I like to think of me when I call my husband at work and I'm talking to him, thinking that like some woman is servicing him while I'm talking on the phone with him. I don't
That's
know.
like, but that's
That's
similar, kind
trauma. I
of.
think that's from trauma.
I don't
Like
know if that's trauma. That's like a cheating fantasy in a way.
yeah, but I every time I'm cheated on, it hurts really, really badly. So why? And my husband's never betrayed me, or I wouldn't be married to him. But why do I? Ever since I've been cheated on, I've fantasized about that. I just find it odd.
I think it's because you feel safe enough with your husband to know that that would never happen. So the idea of him, getting head from someone while he's talking to his wife on the phone is so not realistic that it's
Yeah,
hot.
I
Like
can get aroused. Yeah,
if you were sus of him and you were thinking that,
yeah,
like that would be awful because
true
having
that.
that thought would make you spiral. But knowing that that's never going to happen, I feel like is what makes
I
it
feel
really hot.
good.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it would not be fun to live your whole life with a fantasy that you had to keep to yourself. So I,
Agreed.
I feel the same way. I feel like I can share it all and I'm not going to get judge. No one's going to yuck my yum, because there are things that I've wanted to do that he's like, yeah, we'll do that for you, but I'm not really into that kind of thing. Like, I like the almost getting caught. I want to do it where we're hidden. I'm not going to go to jail. It's not going to be like, I'm not going to get in trouble, but where I could get caught and it's sexy. And that makes him like really nervous, really,
Yeah.
really nervous. So, but he's never shamed it. And on my show, I have a ton of listeners that write in, and I've had people tell, or husbands write in. One specific was like, he told his wife he really, really wanted her to peg him, and she was horrified, but she didn't like shit all over him and make him feel like a weirdo. She kind of just processed it, and the ideal situation happened for him, which he was very lucky. But she was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a whirl. Turns out she was obsessed with it. Like, she got so into it, and now they have this whole new chapter to explore. So I feel like if you're not completely horrified and it's consensual both ways, and you get off to your partner being pleased, you never know what you might like.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true. I think that if you're a woman listening to this and you're like, I either resonated with one of these fantasies or I have another fantasy, but I haven't shared it with my partner, share it with them, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
just never know. I think the one thing that I will say, and you and I are lucky in this sense because we are just like horny fuckers, is
Yeah.
that we're the ones, it sounds like, but tell me if I'm wrong, in our relationship with like more of the fantasies and more of the
Hmm.
ideas of like we can do this and we can do that. I think I personally would feel a little bit insecure if my husband had all these fantasies,
Yeah.
and I don't know why there's a double standard there, but I feel like I would feel like, oh, not that I'm not enough, but like, oh, I'm just nervous because he wants to have a threesome and he really
Yeah.
wants to, do anal, but I don't want to do that or whatever it is, like why is that?
I feel like there's a lot of, I mean, it goes back to, I feel like, how people were raised. There's a lot of people who grew up, I mean, I grew up in a very religious household, but like non-denominational. So it wasn't like hardcore by any means, but it was wait till you're married to have sex kind of thing. Like, I got a purity ring and stuff like that I like chonked away one day. But I think how you grow up, and I think how you experience your body, and people have certain things happen to them that aren't good. And some people just have, I don't know, this like deep instilled shame. Maybe their parents never spoke to them about sex. Maybe it's just always been hush hush. Maybe they don't masturbate. There are some people that literally don't masturbate. And I know. And it's just like you're really missing out, because a lot of problems, I feel like the answer is masturbation. So many times, if you can't figure out what's going on with your body, I feel like you should masturbate,
If you
because
can't
you learn
sleep,
so much.
masturbate. If you have a headache, masturbate.
Masturbate.
If you're in a bad mood, masturbate. It's literally
Exactly.
the answer to everything. Do you have a masturbation routine? Do you like
Oh,
have your go-to porn video, or you watch a video of yourself and your partner, you look at pictures of something, you read a
yeah.
story, or do you kind of like take from your imagination?
I'm a big imagination girl, but I mean, I like porn and I read erotica on my Patreon. So, I mean, those like get me going sometimes, but sometimes they horrify me. Just depends on the story. But I try to mix it up, because I feel like if you are always, and I know it's easy to get in a routine because it's so easy to just get off yourself. But if we practice edging, like I know guys will or talk about that, more edging so that they can last longer, like build up to an orgasm and then use breath work, whatever means breath work's great to come back down and build yourself back up again. You could do a lot of good while masturbating that you can carry over to the bedroom. So I try to mix it up so that I'm not simulating sex in the same way all the time. And I always like to tell women, and I know it's hard, not to always go to your vibrator, because a dick can never do that. And there's so many women that are like, I have to grab my vibrator to get off. I have to get that to finish and they think that they're doomed and they're not. They just need to withdraw from their vibrator. Like literally their clit might feel numb or like they're just never get there. But if they really do give it a break and go on a vibe strike, they'll get it back. I promise.
I agree with that. I actually have never used a vibrator to orgasm in my life. I know.
I have never met another woman who doesn't love vibrators. I'm not into them. Yeah. I
I'm
like
not
something
into
inside of
them.
me.
Well, it's not like it's not, that's not the reason I don't like a vibrator. I think the reason is because when I first started masturbating, like, when I was
Back
an
in
actual
an infant. Just kidding.
like, no, really, like I was like a chronic child masturbator, I swear to
That
God.
is hilarious.
And when I first started, first of all, I didn't have a vibrator or know what it was.
Yeah. Pillow.
Well, yeah, what I had was like a pillow in my covers. So I would just like hump.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Jordyn, like all the humping that I did as a kid was such an
damaging.
amazing thing.
Oh,
No,
I'm gonna say
not
damaging.
damaging. The opposite was such an amazing thing for teaching me how to hump when I started having sex with
Hell yeah.
people. Because I knew what to do when I was like riding a guy. Like I knew
I know what feels good.
Totally. I knew like the rhythm, which was like
Yes.
the same rhythm that I would use when I was humping, a pillow or whatever.
You knew what you liked. Yeah.
I knew what I liked and I knew how to like get it going. I knew the back and forth. And I feel like if I had done that with a vibrator, a guy wouldn't have had a chance. Like I wouldn't have had a chance
Amen.
with the guy.
Yeah. It does, because your nerve endings, it's doing something that a lot of girls will only be able to get off once, they say, with a vibrator, because it like numbs them out. I love toys that have air suction. Have you ever tried the air suction, like the womanizer, or like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm not a vibrator girl. The toys, there's the womanizer. Yeah, they're all by the womanizer. They make knockoffs, but I recommend that one. And it's got like a little suction thing, and you can increase or decrease the intensity, but it's literally simulating like someone's eating you out. Best device ever. Because I think most women have orgasms through like external stimulation easier. I don't know about you, but it's way easier for me to come rubbing my clit than just like if no one was touching me and something was just penetrating me, I wouldn't come.
Yeah, you need like a mix. I need a mix. I actually prefer an orgasm from sex than from being eaten out, but I know that I'm in the minority there.
No. I feel you, because I don't think a lot of guys, I mean, lots of girls fake it. Don't fake it, especially if you're married.
Ever
don't
fake
fake
it.
it.
Never.
Because you are just ruining your.
I'm telling you, Jordyn, I've never faked an orgasm. Swear on my life.
Oh, wow. I commend you for that. I admire you for that.
Not once. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I've lied. So before, like boyfriends, I'm like, I came like 6 times. And they're like, yeah, like that was like me being a 19-year-old idiot. So.
No, of course.
But now I would never, because I feel like it's like affirming a bad dog. You're like saying good boy, and he like didn't do a good job.
Yeah. Right. And it's also like if you fake an orgasm and he believes you, he's an idiot, I think.
He's a fucking
I don't care how good of an actress you are. Like if a man has ever made a woman orgasm, he would know if you were faking it or not. And so if he believes you, when you say, oh yeah, I just came, he's never made a woman orgasm.
He's not making women come. That's exactly what that means. That's a good dating tip. Yeah.
No, it's so true, because every time I do orgasm with my husband, he notices like a difference. Like he's like, oh, it got like a lot, wetter down there, or like it got this or it got that.
Contracts.
Like, totally. He's like, oh, he can feel me coming. And so he knows, he would know if I was lying.
And I feel like masturbation is also a great way to show your husband how you want to be touched. Like if he's never seen you do that, or couples that are dating, like I think that's a great way to know what she likes, because we all have different vulvas and different clits. And I feel like some people love a lot of friction. Some people like soft. So I think men should always start soft. I don't know how big your man audience is, but I think they should start softly and work their way up. That's the go-to.
Don't worry, I'm going to make sure this reaches the man audience. If you're a woman listening, send this to your man. Send this to your man's friends who like are jackrabbit type of guys who definitely have never made a woman orgasm. That's who you need to send this to.
And I think women that maybe are like feel uncomfortable around this topic, I encourage them to explore their body. I think it's empowering. Once you understand how your body works and you feel comfortable, if you're having good sex alone, you're going to have great sex partnered and you're going to feel so much more confident going in knowing what you like.
Especially if you've never had an orgasm, you need to try it alone. It's like you need to love yourself before you love someone else. For real, like you need to sexually love yourself before you sexually love someone else too.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that requires us like seeing where we have shame and how we can like stop certain limiting beliefs around ourselves and what we like.
Exactly. Let's talk about OnlyFans for a second. You mentioned on your Patreon you read
erotica.
But
I don't have OnlyFans.
But you don't have an OnlyFans.
Don't have an OnlyFans.
Why on Patreon and not on OnlyFans?
Because you want me to be completely honest, like just brutally honest. And I'm not knocking anyone that's doing OnlyFans or exploring it. I think it's the mommy that my kid, like my kid's school. It's just like certain things that I just it's fear-based. It's my husband wouldn't support it kind of thing. And I know you can go on OnlyFans. I know people that have podcasts on OnlyFans, like OnlyFans TV. They're not getting naked. They're not having like making porn or anything like that. But maybe it's me just not wanting the stigma that comes with it.
I totally get that. I totally get that. And I disclosed to you that I dipped my toes, no pun intended, into the OnlyFans world because I have really nice feet. And I was like, you know what? No free feet pics should be circulated. And I should be monetizing my feet. And I had joked about this for a while with my friends. And
I joke about it all the time.
My husband, totally, like we always do. And finally, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to make an account literally just for my feet. And I'm going to post feet pictures and let's see what the fuck happens.
What happened?
So I made the account. And similar to you, like there is this stigma, there is this shame, which is so annoying. So I started to feel the shame, feel the stigma. But I just
perpetuated it. I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It is what it is, right? Yeah. And I started to feel the shame. But I was like, the only way that anyone's going to be a fan of my feet is if they know it's my feet, because I already have, a following. And I was like, I need to promote this. And so I threw up one story on Instagram. And at the same time as I'm posting the story, I'm also praying that friends and like whatever are laughing and think it's hysterical and like are not judging me. And then two, that like enough people see it that they subscribe. And then three, that none of the parents in my life, my in-laws, no one sees it.
Yes. What's your feet? It wasn't like your
feet. But
asshole.
Still,
it's your feet.
But still, like just the title OnlyFans. So I threw up that story. I started this OnlyFans. I started posting my feet. I am not kidding. First of all, I made literally over $3,000 in like a week. Okay.
Oh, wow. Wow. God, okay, I changed my mind. Just kidding.
No, literally. And then secondly, I had some pretty crazy realizations that I need to share with you.
Okay.
Which is that most of these guys are married with kids.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
That's not surprising to me.
And none of these guys are okay with just feet. They all want to take it too far. They all want to push the envelope. They all just want to see more. They just want to be
insatiable.
Insatiable. And it honestly freaked me out. I'm not going to lie, because I was just like, I wonder how many dudes like living in fucking, I don't know, Arkansas, like no hate to Arkansas, but it's just the first place that came to mind, are so excited to communicate with someone other than their wife.
Oh, Oh
that
yeah.
they will take a modicum. They will
Insta
take
bump
a
bump.
fingernail. They will pay for a toe
Yeah.
just to like get
Literally.
away from their wife. It's insane.
Literally. Literally. It doesn't surprise me. And that is another aspect of it that I've thought about, because the DMs are already exhausting, because you know, you give an inch, they take a mile kind of thing. And by the way, I get so many people asking about my feet. If my feet are in the shot, they're like, oh, thanks for, thinking. I was like, I was not thinking of you when I
Uh-huh.
posted my feet. It's like, but now if they all ask me, because like feet pics, I'm just gonna send them to you. I'm gonna go,
Yeah.
Lindsey, head over to Lindsey.
Please tell them. No,
I,
but it's funny. I've like stopped using it. It really died out. Like the first week was like hot stuff.
if you
And
kept
then
doing it, I bet it would have got bigger, and then you could have hired an assistant to answer all your DMs to cockblock them.
maybe, but the greediness is crazy. I mean, they wanted more, and I had very strict boundaries with Steven. I wasn't going to go behind his back and break the rules, like, nothing above the knee, whatever. And
Little
we're not
kneecap.
changing the rules here. But it is really funny because all of my friends, like, in our group chat, were like, I'm going to make one. I'm making one. Like, you inspired
Yeah.
me. Everyone thinks they have perfect feet. It's so funny.
Yeah,
And,
they do.
and all my friends
You
are like,
don't.
I'm making one. Like, I'm doing this. And they're like, why don't I have any fans? And I'm like, because you have to promote it. Like, that's what's so annoying. And so
Yeah,
that's
I
why
would
I
have.
think mine is dying now.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think you have to.
yeah, you have to. But maybe there's someone listening that wants to be a fan of my feet. It doesn't just have to be a guy. Girls, ladies, if you have a if
All
you
of
have a
them.
foot fetish, slide into my DMs and I'll tell you the name. Um, I'm dead for
They should
that.
come
So
in a plenty. I mean, I know girls that men think they're interacting with them, and it's not them. And like, it's probably like Chad, her intern. You know what I mean? So
right.
I,
That's
I
so
think that's really
true.
funny. What do you think makes these married men what do you think makes a married man miserable? I know I feel like sometimes I'll shift too much blame on the woman, and that's fucked up, because I think there's lots of men who are just not dating their wives, not, feeding their wife in any way, not setting the tone, not being a masculine. But I also think there are so many women who uh lose their identity, and it's like subconscious, and they need to like regain. And then I feel like when I lean in my feminine, my husband like steps up more in the masculine. Do you feel like that in your home?
Totally agree with you. And I will tell you because some of these men opened up to me about their marriages. And it
Wow, I
became a
bet they
fucking
did.
therapy session over there on the Foot OnlyFans. And a few different men were like, my wife hasn't slept with me in like
Mm.
months. We have kids that are young and like, so there was one person who was complaining about the wife hasn't slept with them in a while, and then there was another person who was, and this is really interesting, they
Okay.
were disappointed in the lack of like intellectual stimulation from the wife. And they
Ooh.
were like, it's so nice, she's a stay-at-home mom, she stays with our kids, but like I have this fantasy of like a career woman like stepping on me with like Christian Louboutins in her
Mm,
like
balls.
blazer. And
Mm.
exactly, and like I think a lot of the OnlyFans guys want this like dominating woman, which is the opposite of leaning into your feminine. So I thought that was really interesting.
There's a lot of powerful, I mean, there's men of all types that are into that, but I've noticed a lot of like, there's some really dominant men who want to be really, really submissive in the bedroom. And I think that's just
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And maybe it's because they feel like they have to be on and delegating and in charge and controlling everything going on, that in the bedroom, they want to submit to the feminine. I don't know.
And yes, and they're all on OnlyFans because they think that like the women who are those kinds of women
They're
are
like,
so comfortable with their sexuality, they're on OnlyFans being like, whatever. And these guys will tell the women on OnlyFans, like, talk down to me, like, treat me like an animal.
Findom, financial domination. Have you heard of
Yes.
that?
No, tell me.
Oh, wow. This one's really cool. And but with all of these comes with these men that want a therapist. So they all have cons. Findom is called financial domination. And they want you to be like, they're like a human ATM, and they want you to treat them. They're a pay pig. and you're their mistress, and they worship you, and
Oh,
you go,
yes,
give
yes,
me
yes.
money, you stupid fucking shit. I'm gonna take your money and I'm gonna go on a trip with my husband and I'm gonna fuck my husband and I'm gonna use all your money. And they get hard to that. Like they are
Mhm.
erect thinking about you spending their money. I'm all for it.
Oh my God, that sounds like the best setup ever. I need myself a pay pig immediately.
It's really
I love that. Well, okay, so we usually will like at the end of episodes, we'll do this really fun thing where we do a rapid fire of the poll questions that I ask on my Instagram. But because we're doing a more like, sexual leaning episode, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and give you and just say like rapid fire things and you'll answer like into it, huge fan or not.
okay. So
Okay.
short answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, watch what happens live. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
69ing.
Love it.
Mm.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's good mix up. And I know this is weird, girl being on the bottom. I know people like, ah, but yeah, you can do it both ways.
Wait, girl being on the bottom.
Like you can 69 without me being on the top. Like most I
Oh
know you're
God, I'd
like,
be
what?
choking. I'd
How?
be
I know.
choking.
He needs to hold himself up. He needs to
He needs to be
like
doing a plank
he
is
needs to
is
be
what he needs to be
doing
doing.
like, or you could be like coddling on the side. Like you could be side 69ing,
Okay, that
you
sounds
could be
more
spider
comfortable.
69ing. You
Yeah,
could be
yeah, yeah.
like crouching. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a 69er. I don't
Okay.
I'm not a fan. But I think that if someone is a fan, that's really cool of them and I respect
So
that.
not to interrupt your rapid fire, but do you like to sit on your husband's face?
Yeah.
Okay, I shouldn't have 69. Like if you didn't like that part, because I
Yeah,
don't like
yeah,
to
yeah.
have my asshole in his face. Sometimes I don't like that.
Oh no,
But
I have no problem with that.
don't
I
look at
just
it.
don't want his dick like suffocating my throat. Like
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want to be in charge of like, what's oh my God, I
What's
can't
up?
believe we're going here in this
I'm
episode.
sorry.
I have to do like a trigger warning. Nobody listen who actually knows me personally. Um, okay. Anal sex.
Depends. Depends on the night. Love anal play. Love a finger in there. Insta cum button. Anal sex. No, not my like. I don't crave a dick in
Okay.
my butt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You like touching his butt in that way.
Only for like just watch his reaction. His orgasm is so much grander if I incorporate a little thingy. Yeah, he's gonna be like, "Did you tell people that?"
I'm
I
dead.
did. I told everyone on the podcast. Yeah.
Like titty fucking, is that
I
still a
don't think
thing?
my boobs are big enough. And we had a very honest conversation. I was like, is it when for him personally, do you want a titty fuck any boobs? Or he's like, truthfully, you want them to be giant, big, wrapped around. Like, it's like it's not really the same if it's with your hand. Not all guys will agree with that. I know women whose husbands are like, any titties, do it. Just not for me. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I
Shower
don't really.
sex.
Oh, husband loves. I don't because I don't feel as much lubrication. I feel like it's always getting rid of my lubrication. And after
Mm-hmm.
childbirth, I don't feel as tight. I need to
Mm-hmm.
plastic surgery that. Just being honest, six-pound baby, and I still don't feel the same as I did before.
I get
That's
it. I mean, I don't get it, but I probably will. Um,
well,
morning sex or night sex?
morning sex and this season of my life changes on season to season, but morning sex, I feel like I'm more energy. I like just woke up. I feel primal like an animal. And at night, as of lately, two kids, sports, summer school, I'm tired.
Mm.
Mhm.
Choking.
Meh. I don't feel any type of way about it.
Hair pulling.
I have extensions, so that's a no.
Me too. Favorite dirty talk line. Give me a line.
Ooh. Oh, I like a whole story. I want a story of him at his office and some girl applied and he fucked her or something like, oh, something horrible, like some secretary seducing him,
Mm. So
something like
like
I want a
him being
story.
dominant over a woman.
him dominating or the woman seducing him, but he's telling me this story and telling me her outfit and what she's wearing and what her pussy looks like. Really dirty, but that's what I like. I know.
I love
Wow.
that.
This
Okay.
is
Wow.
explicit.
Well, that was a good place to end the rapid fire. Jordyn, can you leave us with a quote or piece of advice? Maybe it's something sexual, maybe it's something just relationship wise, or just something you've heard.
Any women, I think you have a lot of people that are in relationships or like dating listening. I think that you should know that you're worthy of pleasure and prioritizing your pleasure, and to know that intimacy with your partner doesn't always feel warm and fuzzy. Sometimes intimacy is really uncomfortable and awkward, and it's those hard conversations, and to not shy away from it, because I think the outcome is so worth it. So I'll leave you with that.
Where can everybody find you, follow you, and listen to the Horny Housewife?
You can follow me at _ the Horny Housewife podcast on Instagram, or go to my website and you'll find everything there, thehornyhousewifepodcast.com. And you can listen anywhere you find podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
This was fun.